icon to show up
We
in my
are getting
screen.
close, man. We are getting close. That's for sure. We are getting unbelievably close.
All
Hi
right, it says
guys.
here
Happy
recording. Now it
holidays.
says live. I think we're on the air, Jan.
Oh, I think we are on the air too. Hey,
Hey now.
everybody, welcome to Festivus. Uh, on this 23rd of December, 2 days before Christmas. Hey, happy and a healthy holiday to everyone that is in the sound of my voice. Even if you're listening to it after the holiday, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. So that's something that I want to say. Welcome to the Mastermind Group, a group of like-minded individuals that come together every Wednesday to talk about current events in our industry and how to survive this tough time so that we're all around when this tough time disappears, which we're hoping will be very soon. Also, I want to also say, as my little disclaimer, that the opinions expressed in this particular event is all that of whoever is expressing it. And remember, opinions are like assholes. We all got them, and most of them stink, of course. So there you have it. And so we are live and ready to go. And I want to say hi to everybody in the room. I don't know how many people are going to show up today because it is there's only one more day of shopping before Christmas, I guess. And so it's crazy. Did anybody get anything really good for Christmas? Anybody?
It's too early to go shopping yet.
Yeah. The Amazon guy can get to my house, with his eyes closed. I think that's what it is. I think he can get there really quickly. Anyway, yeah. So Festivus. So I don't know if you guys know the history of Festivus. Most people think it's from Seinfeld, and it is. But the reality is one of his writers was talking to another writer about how his father, when he started, didn't like to celebrate Christmas. So basically, he came up with this idea for Festivus. And it actually is feats of strength and grievances. So today's a perfect day for feats of strength and grievances. And, how's the weather out there? Ken?
The weather outside is frightful.
Yes. But inside, it is delightful. What's anybody experiencing any FedEx delays?
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it.
Postal Service, yes. Postal Service. I sent something to my sister in New Jersey on December 1st. It just finally arrived today.
Wow.
Nice, huh? Yeah, that was long. And then we sent something to Cheryl's daughter in Arizona on the 8th, and it still hasn't arrived.
Yeah. I thought about sending some stuff out, and none of that stuff has arrived because I didn't send it. So it's I'm not worried about the weather in that respect. But it's like the thought is what counts, is what they say about gifts.
You had a thought about sending it.
But no, I hear they're getting blizzarded up there in the Northeast. I guess that's nobody's in the Northeast in this room evidently. Justin, where are you from? What part of the country?
I'm actually in Colorado.
Okay, and how's the weather there?
It's sunny, but it's 19 degrees.
Oh, wow. That is cold. I think, right? It's cold for me.
And
what about what?
It's not as bad as like in the Northeast. We don't have a high humidity level here, so it's not really that cold. I'm originally from Omaha. 19 degrees in Omaha with 30 or 40% humidity is a lot colder than Colorado's 19.
Yeah, it's like Las Vegas when it gets hot. It's dry heat. It's like it's a dry heat. But Nevada is very windy right now. The fall and the spring become very windy, so the wind chill factor just kicks in that respect.
It's windy here as well. Is it windy in your neighborhood, David?
Not really. No.
Are you looking around? What's the wind coming in the house? You
I
can't
can
put
look out the window.
My surveillance
Trees
cameras have leaves in them, so I can tell if the leaves are blowing or not.
Oh, we've gotten to a point where we
Not
don't
at
even
all.
look out the window anymore. Yeah. Hey, Google, what's the temperature outside? That kind of stuff.
I just look at my watch when I want to know the temperature.
Oh, man, every one of my Google boxes just went up in the other room telling me what the temperature was. So that's it. Anyway, I just want to bring this up and I don't want to dwell on it right now, but and we'll talk about, we got a few things that I do want to talk about. And one, of course, is what's going on with COVID. And until you lose somebody that you love or someone you love is super affected, it's just numbers on a piece of paper. It's huge statistics. Wow, 300,000 people are dead. Millions of people have got it. Well, if it's not affecting you through someone you love, it's just numbers on a piece of paper. It's just statistics. And no matter how much you watch the news and they show people crying or people in hospital beds or whatever they show, it makes no difference until it really affects you. And this week, I lost my best friend of 44 years to COVID. And, he didn't die from COVID. He died from um, complications that COVID brought on. So most people really probably don't die of COVID themselves. But if you have COVID, and in his case, he had high blood pressure and he had diabetes. So the first thing that happened was he got a stroke, and then his kidneys started to fail. And, from then on in, it was, also another thing that COVID causes is blood clots. And so then there were blood clots. And the one fortunate thing about my friend is that he didn't suffer much, and that's a good thing. But still, nonetheless, there's such a hole in my life, and I really want to tell you people that when you are confronted with someone that you care about, and they say, "Well, I'm just going to go travel for the holidays," you have to let them understand that it's really not about them. It's about how it's going to affect the people that they love. And I don't think people understand that. I just don't think that they understand how much it affects the people that you love, you know? So I wanted to say that. Now, having said that, and I will take a drink in his honor. By the way, his name is Peter Scher, and we'll be doing a tribute for him next week. And I've been going through this now 10 days, and up until right now, and even sometimes I still feel emotional, depending on when I talk to somebody that reminds me of something that was special between Peter and myself. But right now it's 10 days, and I'm cried out. That's all I could say.
Sorry,
Well,
man.
that's one way to bring the show down to the ground. All right, now let's talk about PPP relief. And
Well,
Michael Strickland.
Well, yeah. Did you see Michael Strickland's emails today? He detailed exactly what's got to happen now that the guy in charge said, I'm not going to sign it.
Yeah, the guy in charge is not going to sign it. Well, we don't know if we don't know if he's going to sign it or not. That's something that we haven't. We what he says and what he does is usually two different things.
Sure.
In most cases, but in this case, Michael Strickland was on CNBC with Becky Quick on the Squawk Box show, and so we'll throw the link in there if you want to watch what he did. But basically, we got this. It's funny how everybody was so excited. Congress went home. They were going to have the extension. They were going to have the extension of the PPP, the EIDL. Everybody was going to get $600. Couples were going to get
Employment was extended. All these things.
$300.
PUA. PUA.
And everybody went home. People like Ossoff not people like Ossoff, people like Kelly Loeffler and the other guy running for Congress, Senator in Alabama, put out really big ads about how they brought home all this money for their people, only to find out that Trump doesn't want to sign a bill. And an interesting thing, he says that he wants everybody to have $2,000, which I personally think is a great idea. It might bankrupt America to give everybody $2,000, but the reality is that this money will go back right into the economy. If somebody's getting $2,000, most likely they're not saying, I think I'm going to put this on the pile with the rest of my money. They're going to be using it for groceries. They're going to be using it for Christmas presents. They're going to be using it for car payments. They're going to be using it for mortgage. They're going to be using it for rent. They'll be using it. They're not going to sit on it and say, well, I'm going to save it for a rainy day, because right now it's raining. By the way, has anybody seen any video of the lines for people getting food?
Yeah.
Has anybody seen those things?
Sure.
Have you noticed that there are Mercedes in those lines and
Escalade,
Range Rovers? Yeah, of course.
I mean, hey,
Everybody needs food.
I'm just wondering if they're giving out Grey Poupon. That's it. Is it Grey Poupon? I mean, I heard, who did I hear? A comedian pulled up in front of somebody. He was driving like a Pinto or something like. He pulled up in front of another car and he rolled down his window. The other guy rolled down his window and he says, "Excuse me, do you have any mayonnaise?" You know.
I saw that
But
somewhere.
I'm serious. I wish I could have made that up, but no, I'm serious. You know. So it's like people are hurting, and you don't know who is hurting, because a lot of people won't tell you that they're hurting, and of course this time of year is always the worst time of year for suicides, and you know, people getting very depressed as it is. But could you imagine what it would be like if you stand to lose everything at the same time, and now all of a sudden you don't know if you're going to get any money at all? So it's crazy. But
very crazy.
on the other side of the coin, now that Trump said he wanted to give everybody $2,000, Nancy Pelosi, the first thing she says is, "Let's go for it. Let's do it." So
that was the Democrats' request all the time, was to have a higher amount given to citizens,
Right.
but
Well,
the
he's doing
Republicans wouldn't go for it.
right, they didn't want to give anybody any money at all whatsoever. So now she's saying, "Let's do it. I'm in." And
Trump
now
pissed
the
at McConnell.
Democrats.
Trump is pissed at McConnell, so that's why he's trying to just screw him, which is actually puts him on the side of the Democrats.
Well, it's kind of interesting what's happening. So I think there's a very good possibility that people are going to get $2,000, which would be very, very good for our economy, I think.
Tina put somebody's tweet in the chat, and I'm wondering who. I don't understand what that sort of means. I guess that was the negotiation, right?
Yeah, the Democrats.
First time the Democrats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Republicans wanted 600. Democrats came down to 1,200. Republicans stayed at 600. Then the Democrats went down to 600. They agreed, and then Trump says no, 2,000. So it's like,
So
where
the interesting
was he
thing
when
is
they
going
started negotiation?
So the goofy thing about this, I think the unknown factor is the Trump, because he could say one thing and do another, like you said a minute ago, right? And so the things that has a very high likelihood of happening is they work on this and they work on this, they change it to 2,000. He says, "No, I'm still not going to sign it. I'm going to veto it," or you know what I mean?
That's all part of it, because they also lumped the whole omnibus bill into it, like a $1.6 trillion thing, which was giving money to all these foreign countries.
And why is that lumped in there? It's supposed to be a relief for a U.S. citizens thing, right?
Well,
US
not only is it that, but it's also keeping the government open. So
for sure.
I mean,
why did they lump that in? Do you know, Ken?
Because they were trying to get things passed that they couldn't get passed otherwise. And so they were thinking nobody would veto the relief bill.
Yeah. I mean, basically our government stands to be shutting down now if they don't fund this.
And it's also doing that bartering that Michael Strickland's had to be done to get our funding in there. If I'm going to put this in, you're going to put this in for me. That's how the thing blew up so fast and so big. And then it's the omnibus. It's funding 12 different silos of the government, all in this one bill, instead of being just strictly a relief bill.
Has anybody in this room ever really seen a pork barrel? Because we know that they talk about it, in the government is like they're, all these pork barrels, but I've never seen a pork barrel. If anybody's ever seen a pork barrel, I'm kind of
I
interested.
think
to know what it really looks
images.google.com, pork barrel.
Yes. Hey, anyway, I don't know if anybody here in the room knows Chris Cole. Chris Cole owns a company called SoundBridge. They're a speaker manufacturer. And he called me the other day, and I was hoping that he was going to come in the room, but he's not. But he developed a 10-minute rapid test for COVID called Tillium. And we'll put the link in the show notes. And it's basically Green Zone Biotech. He started a company. And it looks like he's got a bunch of them sold out of America, and he's waiting for FDA approval if he could get it. And then it would be a instant home test that you basically prick your finger and you would have results in 10 minutes. So I think that would be a really good thing for our industry if something like that became popular. But I
Be
also
good for everything. So what's the accuracy of it? Do you know?
Well, I know Chris Cole, and I know he builds a good speaker, but I don't know really how much he knows about biotech. But he's invested a lot of money in doing this, and he says he spent a lot of time and energy studying the subject matter. So I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just putting it out there that here's somebody in our industry who makes speakers is now focused in on another aspect of our industry to get people back to shows, and that seems to be a really good offshoot of what we do, don't you think?
Absolutely. Now, if it was 10 seconds, even better.
The 10 seconds, you couldn't even open you couldn't get the blood out of your finger in 10 seconds. I did a
like the
home
one
blood
that Marty
test.
was talking about.
Yeah, I did a home blood test for this Viomi thing that tests your bacteria, and it took me more than 10 seconds just to do the test itself. Just to figure it out and get the guts to stick my finger. Because it's like that, one of those things, and I didn't know how
See
bad
your
it
own
was.
blood and stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't know how much it was going to hurt. It turned out not to be that bad. I didn't pass out or anything like that.
So,
But it would be better if I could spit in a bottle. I think I could do that much better than stick my own finger.
right.
Anyway, so also one of the things in this bill that the lawmakers passed, and now it's in hold too, was they had $15 billion for our industry, for movie theaters, live venues, and all
Save
that.
our stages, to save our stages.
Yeah,
Act,
to save
right?
our stages, which is really admirable,
And that has 99.5% accuracy, Tina says. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I just want to quote what I said in the beginning of the show, that everyone's opinion, we're not medical doctors. We don't know what's going on, but with so much fake news, I just don't want to be one that's spreading fake news. So do your own research for sure if you want to, I have no idea about the efficiency of his home test, but if he was on the show, then he could defend it. But he's not here, so what can I say? Anyway, let's go on. So unemployment insurance, we covered that. And they had $7 billion in it for broadband, which is really cool. So now people living in Tennessee could actually have internet service. Is that right, Ken? No.
I thought it was people in Missouri.
Missouri? What? Yeah. Is there, by any chance, is there anybody in the room from New Orleans? Anybody in this room from New Orleans who wants to talk about broadband?
West Virginia.
Well, there you go. That's a better example. Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yes, West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's that was the second state that came up with the idea for a toothbrush, as you guys know.
Since they had one tooth to brush.
That's right. That's right. Otherwise, it would have been named a teeth brush. That's it. So that's it. You've got that down. All right. So we also have some helpful links for the SBA and the EDE if you're looking for some money. So basically, the SBA loans, the PPP loans, everybody's going to be entitled for another round of that, which is really good. So you'll be applying again. And just an FYI, I am still dealing with Bank of America, 3 months and change, still waiting for that $26,000 to come back to its rightful owner, me. But it's just like crazy. I'm now talking to my senator. I'm talking to my congressman. I'm talking to, and when I say talking, I really mean it's a one-way conversation, because none of these people seem to want to get back to me anymore. It's just like me against the aristocracy of this country. It's like amazing how difficult.
So you're literally talking to them, and whether they're talking back is a questionable.
Yeah, I get people. They always seem so helpful in the beginning. Oh, well, count on me. Here's my phone number. I'm here for you. Call anytime. Just remember, I only work from 8 to 5. But you could leave a message, and I'll always get back to you. And meanwhile, after they hang up on the phone, there is no getting back. They just don't get back to you whatsoever. And now
I got an interesting call. Speaking of getting back to you, so for some reason I got a call from B of A the other day. It rang like 3 times. I press the button to answer it, and nobody was there. I feel like I missed the call, you know. And then I called that number right back and left a message for the voicemail. Nobody ever called me back. But it's kind of an odd time for banks, I think.
Well, they're
Really
all
is.
working out of their houses.
Yeah.
Everybody's working out of their houses right now. And so there is just no oversight anymore. You know, there's just no oversight. I told you the call that I had with Bank of America where the woman was saying, "Yes, Mr. Landy, how can I?" Oh, hold on for one second. Hey, I told you to do your homework. Shut that computer off, and don't do that to your brother. Those kind of things that you're hearing. So when they're working out of their house, it's just so easy. And I know right now that I'm working out of my house, and like all of a sudden, if I think, I think I'll go out. I think I want to eat something. Well, now you're in the kitchen, and you've got all the accoutrements of a real living rather than an office kitchen. Where you could cook something, you have cupboards, you have various different aspects of food utility that you don't have in an office normally. Although chances are if you worked in an office more than working in the house, you might want to go out for lunch more, or you might bring in lunch. And when you do that at the house, you don't do it as much for whatever reason. But the fact of the matter is that there's no oversight on that. It's just too much for me to handle, and nothing seems to be getting done, which is crazy. It's crazy. But I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to weather this storm. But what about the people living? Have you heard this story up in California right now, where people are getting their unemployment checks pulled back? Have you heard that?
No,
I have not heard that, and I have not had my checks pulled back.
Let me tell you. I'm in California. Let me tell you what's going on. They want you when this thing started, you gave them what you made last year, so that they could figure out how much unemployment you're supposed to get. And some people were giving the gross and some people were giving the net. They want the net. So what you do is you get a letter that says, we're going to reevaluate and you may owe us money. And that's what's going on because they want to base it on your net income.
Well, now wait a second. Is it not based on what your contributions that you have been made? I don't ever remember being asked that question.
Hang on, Kenny. This isn't unemployment. I should have said this is PPP, PUA.
Oh,
no,
PUA.
This is unemployment. I'm sorry. This is EDD. This is unemployment.
It is EDD. PUA is part of EDD. The letter has an EDD headline on it, but it's about people who are independent contractors reporting their net income versus their gross income.
Independent contractors, right.
Okay,
right.
then
because
we're
never
talking
got
about
asked
two
what my
different
income
stories.
was.
We're talking about two different stories because basically there's another story right now where they're pulling back unemployment checks, and on the California state website where you were applying for unemployment insurance, if you were let go, not independent contractors, had nothing to do. This is actually paid employee salaries that you paid, and by accident they put on enter your gross pay here, and instead it should have said net pay. So the state of California actually made an error, and now they've realized that they should have been net. So they overpaid almost everybody who applied, and so now they're asking for it back. And the other side of this is that there was so much fraud involved that Bank of America arbitrarily just started going into people's accounts and pulling money out of their accounts based on the amount of money that they got from unemployment. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I actually got a Bank of America card in the mail with $0 on it. And oh, you got one of those? All right, cool. I don't feel so. And
so
I didn't apply for anything.
So what did you buy with it?
Nothing. A whole lot of nothing.
Doesn't have any backing. It's just a card.
What a waste of resources.
That was my EDD debit card, right? And I explain it as one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing, because one hand they sent that out, the other hand said we're going to send you checks. So I've been getting checks, and I you know how they have the little email us on the EDD website. So I emailed them one time and I said, why can't you make it happen to the debit card? And basically the answer was, you know what, you're getting checks, don't mess it up, you know? No, I haven't pursued it, but it's so stupid.
It's
so
enough to
stupid.
make you want to drink.
Oh man, I'm getting a drink now.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
But you're getting checks from them, right? Not getting checks either?
Nothing, but I didn't apply for anything, which made me.
Oh, no kidding! You didn't even apply, and you got that
I
card.
didn't apply,
He's-
so I was
he's a
thinking.
working
of
Now that's
Jan.
really
I
over
was like,
the top.
yeah, I was thinking of Jan. I was like, oh my god, somebody's got my name going, out, and they're getting paid, and I'm not.
Oh my
So,
gosh!
it's nothing, a whole lot of nothing. I got a card and no checks.
And you never opened an account?
No, I had unemployment a few years ago, so maybe they just did a bulk mail out. of cards.
They're probably figuring in California that everybody's going to be unemployed sooner or later, so you might as well have one of those cards.
Well, I'm
That's
with you
all
in
it was.
Vegas. I'm right here in Vegas with you.
No. The reality is it's a crazy time right now for everybody. It's just it's just a crazy time, and so this is a situation that nobody's ever experienced before. None of us. Did anybody see that picture of the harvester that I sent around, where it's a picture of crops with in the distance it's a harvester with a light on, and it looks like a stage, and we're so desperate we want to believe that that's a concert.
Oh, right. It so looks like a concert, but it's not. It's actually something totally unrelated.
So what are your plans? Anybody have any plans for Christmas? Are you going to be crazy enough to travel? Is anybody going to be crazy enough to travel?
I'm trying to get home right now because I live in Nebraska, but my truck is in the shop and it won't be ready till noon tomorrow.
Oh, that's cutting it close, huh?
Yeah, it's a 13-hour drive.
Well, at least you're not flying, and because right now the airlines are very busy, and you hear all these reports about what happened during Thanksgiving, and yet now people are going to be going home for Christmas and celebrating Christmas together and having Christmas meals together. And I will tell you that you could it only takes a second to let your guard down. Just it's like, I guess COVID is like a dog at the table. It's like a dog at the table.
Everything froze.
What's going on?
I think we froze to Steve, but Steve, you're not frozen to us, so we hear you.
No, Steve,
I wasn't frozen to myself actually when everything else froze.
You're
There you
very
go. It's all
warm,
good.
and you're very warm and inviting. So tell us,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? What kind of Christmas meal are you having? You have a somewhat large family itself, just your immediate family.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, we're just staying here with my son and daughter-in-law, and his baby are coming over, and mother-in-law. But Saturday and Sunday I'll be fishing and crabbing with my nephews who are coming in from out of town. So
Very nice. The crabs are going to come from out of town, or
crabs are running good. I got a dozen of them aboard yesterday. A couple dozen I caught yesterday.
Unbelievable.
What fish is running?
What's that?
What fish are you going for?
Oh, well, we didn't get any trout yesterday. We got redfish and bass. So we'll see.
And how's the band coming? How's your band doing? Are you gonna,
the band started actually working on some originals, so we'll have something in a few weeks. We got 2 or 3 of them we're working on now.
There you go. So Ken Porter, what is your hobby? Do you have any hobbies?
Audio.
Audio hobbies?
Everything I buy is a gift from my wife. It's all PA. Spend all my money on PA. How can I afford anything else?
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing then, I guess, because we need people like you in this business. So, Brian, what about you? Do you have any hobbies?
Well, I'm turning my hobby into a job now. So I've been doing audio work. It's just as a weekend gig hobby type thing. And now I'm starting to move into that line of work. So just picked the wrong time to jump into the industry.
Well, it's going to be there. This is an industry that will be there no matter what. As soon as things come back, and it will come back eventually. It will come back, and it'll come back stronger than it ever has been. Because just think about all the people that
Well,
have been hunkered down.
I can tell you, I've worked with this one teacher for the last 13 years doing productions for her student graduations, and she has an annual fundraiser it's an India community, and that fundraiser is usually in one of the big auditoriums in Charlotte, and it's usually in May, and she's been trying to hold it since May. And we went out into an farm that they do corn mazes and have just a big open area. The seating capacity at the farm is 6,000, or the occupancy capacity is 6,000 at the farm. And we set up a stage last weekend and did her show that she's been trying to do since May. And I can tell you that not only were the dancers eager to get onto a stage, but the parents and the people coming in from the side to watch it. And we actually had to scrap the tech rehearsal and do the actual show on Saturday instead of Sunday because they were forecasting rain all day Sunday. But people were just craving to get that participation. All the dancers except for the lead dancers wore masks. Everybody off on the wings wore masks, and we were out in an open field, so we were all spaced out. Nobody was huddled together. And the parents actually behaved themselves out in the seating area and stayed distanced from each other. So I think it, as best could be, we went off without a hitch. But yeah.
Right. It's interesting. Chris Carlton sent me a photo of what they're doing for this. They're doing a ballet show outside, and he sent me a photo which I was going to queue up, but I forgot about it. But they're painting 6-foot areas in yellow paint on the grass in front of the stage, so that's where people will have to stay in those boxes.
Hey, I just put a link in for a show we did last night. It was probably not the safest show in the world for folks on stage, just because there was a minimized orchestra up there. We had 8 vocalists, so we spread them out as much as we could on stage, and I was running audio and video out in about the 12th row up in the audience with no audience out there. So if you guys want to check that out, it's a Christmas show from a local group called Missouri Street Theater, and they're out of Fairfield, California. So it's kind of we did some TSO stuff and kind of some Christmas classics and things like that. So that's up in the chat if you guys want to check that out.
Oh, very cool.
Where did that take place, Jeremy?
We did a theater in Fairfield, California.
No kidding. California. Okay.
Between San Francisco and Sacramento, about halfway, North Bay area.
Let me see if I.
And there was everyone wore masks. Everyone was temperature checked. They actually the orchestra quarantined 10 days kind of leading up to it, or as much as they could. And then we had 8 vocalists that would come up and do solos, and then a couple ensemble pieces as well. But it was
Cool.
it was fun to do some shows finally. But we've been doing some small bands and things like that with them spread all the way across the stage. But this is most definitely the most people we've had on stage.
And was it broadcast or on Zoom or something like that?
We I think they broadcasted across a few different platforms. I think the main one was Facebook, which is the link I put in there. And it's a production company that's been kind of using the space here at the theater to do small shows. So we did Carlos Reyes, if you guys know who that is, a little bit ago. We're doing Sheila E. In January, which would be kind of fun. We did Pete Escovedo a few weeks ago as well. We've been trying to get some of the Bay Area acts to come up here into Fairfield and use the space.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
Here, I finally figured out how to show you the picture. So there's the picture what he was talking about in regarding to how they're doing a ballet show. He said it was a ballet show
with the squares painted.
Yeah, that's right. So there you go. That's the show he was talking about.
Well, the whole thing, the whole challenge is to stay safe and not spread this virus anymore. You never the challenge with that is that you never know who's got it and who doesn't have it.
Does anybody have any New Year's Eve shows?
No.
What did I hear was happening at Times Square in New York City?
I think it's like, did anybody see the movie Spinal Tap? Where they bring in the set and it's really, really tiny, instead of I think that's what's happening with the sign. I think the sign is smaller than they wanted it to be. But it's gonna look. I'm sure. I don't know how many people are going out to New York City right now.
Didn't I hear that you're not allowed to congregate in Times Square on New Year's Eve?
I think
we have a New Yorker in the room.
Yes, Ken. It said that it would not be open to the public this year.
But they're still going to drop the ball, I assume.
Yes, they're still going to have like virtual celebrations.
And I wonder if they're going to have how there's all different booths for all the different networks to have their commentary of what's going on, and there's usually performances. I'm guessing the performances are off.
Yeah. Literally, they dropped the ball this year. Literally, they've dropped the
ball. That's for sure. The government dropped the ball this year.
That's for damn sure, right, Don?
Man, I'll tell you.
Government schmumberment. Yeah, we don't have any leadership. We got worse leadership than some of the smaller countries in the world.
What an entertaining setup.
Well, we're going to see what happens. I mean, things are, a lot could go wrong. A lot can go wrong in a month. That's for sure. And it could get worse and worse and worse. But the reality is there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're pretty sure that it's not the train this time around, So we just have to be around to enjoy it. And that's really the key. I mean, you got to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody will take care of you. Nobody. You have to be the one, even if you have a nagging wife, you're the one who's got to take your vitamins. You're the one that's got to do the sit-ups and the push-ups. You're the one that's got to shut your mouth instead of eating all those M&Ms that are there on the table, or the yams, or the marshmallows, or oh my God, are those good? Oh wow, So yeah, that's the story. So. Who else? Now that we're at this far down the road, and we've really expanded. Normally, there's so much going on that we're here for 2-3 hours at a time. But it seems like we're out of things to talk about. So let's open it up to.
I have questions for the group. Can I pose my 3 questions to the group?
Yes, please.
All right. So I have 3 questions. They're totally unrelated subjects from each other, and I just think you guys are smart guys. You might know the answers to these. Question number 1 is relating to network, like Cat 5 cable, getting the network from it's not my home, but it's from the home out to the gate, the front gate where they want to put a video camera. It turns out it's a very long run, like over 300 feet, maybe it's like 500 or 600 feet. And I heard that I can possibly cut that 500-foot wire and put either a switch or an extender in there, and that will get me network out at the end of the wire, 600 feet away. So I want to know what's the best thing to do, switch or extender, or is that not going to work? Neither one's not really going to work. It's really just, what people are telling me, and it's not really reliable. Question number two is, I'm going to throw out all my questions so that I don't forget what they are. Question number 2 is, does anybody know if there's a good, reasonably priced, home use, multi-purpose printer that does printing and faxing and scanning and copying, obviously, and has what's it called? Photo quality printing, and it would be a plus if it was a laser instead of inkjet. And the last one is, I was just listening to a podcast with some young guys that were talking about sound, the Signal to Noise podcast, and the one guy was saying that he does a multi-track recording of his band, and then he plays the multi-track recording back to kind of roughly get his console set up. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I could see that happening if it's like an Avid profile or any Avid because it integrates totally into that system so easily. But if it's like, say, an X32 or a Yamaha CL5 or a QL5 or whatever, how do you integrate a multi-track file into like an X32 or a Yamaha console or something like that? Those are my questions.
Okay. First, I have some land outside of Austin, out in Cedar Creek, Texas. It's in Bastrop County, and I have long runs to get to trailers and different places that people rent from me. And what I use are these extenders. They're called Ethernet extenders. You can just Google that phrase, and literally you'll find dozens of solutions from low cost to high cost. I've got some very low cost ones. They're Chinese knockoffs. They work fine. It's this basically a switch at one end and a switch at the other end.
And the idea is to put something active at less than 300 feet from the previous.
328 feet is the
100 meters,
stated
right?
distance. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can cheat that a little bit and get beyond that. What's the actual distance you're going, Ken?
I'm not sure. We haven't measured it yet. I think it's about 500
Try
feet.
just running a straight wire and see if you can.
Oh, well, we have the wire. It doesn't make it. The network doesn't make it down
It
the 500
doesn't?
feet of
Okay.
cable. Yeah, I tried that many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks. So the extenders definitely work, huh, Paul?
Yeah, I've used them. They work great. I have I like one. I think it's about 600 or 700 feet. And I've got the Ethernet comes in 1,000 feet, so I had to chop off a couple 300 feet and then put ends on it and then plugged it into the extenders. It works fine.
And the extenders are powered by PoE, right?
They can be. That's one option. The ones I have are just powered normally with.
Locally, you have some kind of wall wart or something that
Yeah,
plugs
wall
into them?
wart. Yeah.
I need to do PoE. There's no way I'm getting power out there.
You need a PO.
And do you have a real budget? Do you have a real budget for this? You can get what's called the
possibly.
what's called the optical media converter, which basically lets you run run it down a strand of fiber.
Yeah, the challenge with that is that I would have to actually run the fiber then, right? And right now the Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable is there, so we're trying to do the path of least resistance, which would be stuff that we can do and we can do cheaply. So we're trying to avoid having to run something new like a piece of fiber.
So Kenny, you need like a PoE switch.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah,
PoE
of course.
switch. Yeah.
That should do it.
What was question 2?
Question 2 was about a printer. Like if there's such a thing as a multi-purpose printer that does color, like photo quality printing, but it also it would be laser. Laser would be nice.
Yeah, I use the HP M277. It's called the HP M277. It's like a tank, that printer. I've had it for 2 or 3 years. I bought it at Best Buy. It wasn't the cheapest printer they had. In fact, it was the most expensive printer they had, but I wanted a good laser printer. Does beautiful color. It faxes. It does everything. Scanning. But
David said you won't get photo quality out of a laser. Is that right? And Paul, is that a laser or an inkjet?
I don't know. It's a laser printer, and if you use the high quality paper, the results are pretty darn good. It may not be perfection, but it's pretty darn good.
You can buy the stock.
I don't have it here. It's out of my other place. I'd show you some prints that I've made.
I have the same printer except for it's the 477 and you can get a good quality print out of it. You just have to do the high quality. You got to use the high end HP ink or jet ink.
Yeah, don't cheat on the supplies. Get good supplies for it.
Yeah. What I have found when printing photos on your printer, that you need the high quality paper and you need good quality ink as well. So you need the manufacturer's ink rather than getting the cheapo stuff from LDE products.
Well, speaking of that, one person suggested that I get refills at Costco, like bring them the old cartridges and they'll refill them for me. What do you think of that?
I think that's a bad idea.
I see a lot of shaking heads. That's funny.
I think that's a terrible idea, and it doesn't work. No matter how good they refill them, it's not the same as somehow the original cartridges from the manufacturer work the best. I don't know why that is, but it is.
The other thing with the other thing with the laser is you're using more of an electrostatic than the ink. So it tends to be more precise than an ink coming out that even does the ink printing photos.
So but David was saying that a laser printer. What, David?
Laser printers aren't good for photo. They're better because they only do medium quality. You have to get an inkjet for photos because inkjet can go at higher qualities.
Like the PPIs, the pixels per inch is seems to maximize at around 600 on a laser printer. Was that what you were suggesting, David?
But everybody's correct. You should use actual ink.
Laser printer.
Yeah, I've had good results. I did a as far as making color copies and color prints. As long as you use good ink and good paper, you're splitting hairs between the M277, I think it's DN, and it's a network printer too, so you can hook it up to your Ethernet.
The other thing about Hewlett Packard is that you could email your documents to the printer, and it will print when you get there, which is really cool. However, also you might want to look at the Brother printers because they have the bottled ink printers where the most expensive part about the printing is the ink. No doubt about it. It's the ink.
I've got a Brother color printer. It's inkjet, and the HP kicks its ass.
Right. Is it the bottles? The one with the bottles?
Yeah, it's a really good one, but the HP outperforms it.
Right.
Well, so personally, I have a Brother experience. I have a Brother laser printer and an HP inkjet printer. The HP is great. The Brother is great. They both, they're in their own element.
I have the exact opposite experience with HP and Brother. I'm a firm believer that HP stands for horrible products. I exclusively use Brother printers anymore because they. The problem
is exactly what I wanted to hear. Tell me, Justin.
Has always seemed to be the software, because randomly my HP will start spitting out massive pages, a massive quantity of pages with nothing but gibberish on them.
I've never had that. I've had the opposite experience.
Yeah, I've got two brothers sitting in the trash can here. I can't get them to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother started putting a line down every page,
Right. Well, your brother never did get a real job anyway, so you had to support your brother for a long time. I know.
Hey, now. Well, that's interesting. Good information, guys. Thanks. I appreciate the opinions.
And just remember, Hewlett Packard, the Chinese have tapped into it like TikTok. They've got they're looking at everything you got right now on your printer. But one thing I will say about that, if you're printing pictures and you're not printing a lot of pictures, it's best just to send it to Costco or Walgreens or whatever, or Smug Mug, and let them print it for you and send it back to you, because those are really, you can't afford to buy the kind of printer that they have, and there is no way you're going to beat the price on that. So
I guess it's a matter of the speed, though. If we want to have it now, so one option, this is for a friend of mine. She said, fix me up with the right thing, whatever that is. So I got to come up with the right thing, right? So, one of the options she said was, well, possibly we get two printers, one for photos and one for normal stuff and multi-purpose. Okay, that's a possibility, So I might do a laser printer and an inkjet printer. So that she gets pretty good photo quality for when she wants it right now. But you're right. I mean, the price, you can't beat the price of what it costs to do it through like Costco or any of those kind of services.
Yeah, get it on Amazon. And if it doesn't work, send it back before 30 days and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true.
Costco, by the way, I remember one time walking into Costco to return something that I had just bought, and there was a woman in front of me with a vacuum cleaner that had to be about 10 years old. It was dilapidated. The cords were cut. The place where it sucks in it had a big slash in it, and the woman brought it back, and the woman looks at it. She looks in a record. She says, "We haven't sold this in 5 years. we'll take it back, and you give them a credit just like that. I don't know how they do that, but
Yeah,
so
I could tell you stories about things I did similar things with, and
Well,
a friend of mine used to do that for actual equipment he was going to use on gigs, like cameras and projectors and computers and stuff. But they got hip to him, and they made the return policy on that kind of electronic stuff shorter instead of the normal policy.
I know somebody who bought a chicken in Costco, right? Ate the whole chicken, just brought back the skin and the bones and says, "Hey, this chicken was no good," to get more money. And then they bought another chicken, actually. So there you go.
I was in the back
Gone
end
too far now, Jan. You've gone way too far.
I was in the back end of a Kmart 15, 20 years ago doing some work right after the 4th of July. And there must have been 300 coolers back there that people bought for the weekend, for the 4th of July weekend. And as soon as it was over with, they returned it back to Kmart. Maybe that's the reason they don't have
Kmart
any
shoppers.
Maybe the blue light special went too far.
Wow. So
Okay,
what do you guys know about the multi-track recording thing for random multi-track from a Yamaha? I mean, how do you do multi-track recording from a Yamaha? I guess you do Dante recording in Yamaha land, right? But then,
that's what I've done Dante with the Yamaha, and I've even used like the Waves recorder just so I didn't have to deal with Pro Tools.
Sure, some simple recorder, but then how do you play it back? Is my question. I mean, obviously you can patch the output of your computer back into the Dante channels, but then what do you? But then that means you've got to have a new patch for you. Well, so what does somebody do? They have an input patch setting that they recall just to play back the multi-track, and then they have their normal. He's nodding his head, so I guess this is true. Yeah. And then they have their normal patch setting, which gets it from the Rios and all those things. So that's what they do. They go back and forth between two patches.
That's what I did for the church that I did it for.
I run a 12-piece horn band, across a bunch of different casinos and a lot of the same venues, throughout the year. Well, usually not 2020, but depends on what console. But usually with that band, they run a M32, and I put my Waves sound grid card in there, and I do it just like that, how you described. Did the multi-track, and sometimes I'll do a multi-track at that venue and play it back, just as a separate input setup.
Separate, yeah. So tell me about that M32 a Waves card. So that gives you 32 ins and 32 outs, or no?
Yeah.
Because I've only used that Waves card as an insert, and there's only so many inserts available on that M32 platform. But you can use all 32 buses in and out for sort of direct outs and inputs.
Yeah, so I just have a preset for the input that I can just open the console up with when I go into the venue, knowing what I have, and then then I'll switch back to that setting I had previously sometimes, but usually just go with the virtual sound check, and they come in and do a couple vocal checks, and that's it.
Gotcha. Okay, now I get it. Thanks. And by the way, if you didn't have the Waves card, there's a USB card.
Yeah, same thing with the USB. Yeah,
same thing, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I use Waves a lot with that band.
So these young kids, they're switching back and forth between input setups really quickly, which I'm afraid to do, frankly.
Well, once you get into it, and that I'm going to pull this one up at this the night before, I kind of just look and see what I have, and I go into the venue and I do the full virtual sound check without the band there.
How interesting. All right. Well, thanks.
Well, that's cool. Now, was that the third question?
Yeah, they got to the end of my questions. You guys are great. Thanks.
All right. So, who wants to talk about the string theory right now of humanity? Nobody. All right. I was just reading an article about string theory, and it's very interesting about the dimensions. The guy that was talking about it basically likened it to a fish in a pond. Only has they have left and right and down, but they have no up, because once they hit the surface, that's the end. So they can't go any further than that. So they have only left and right and basically down. And so if you took a fish, their whole world is only two-dimensional. So the reality is, if we had another dimension that we could go, because we have three. If you took a fish out of the water and they were able to, or a scientist that was a fish, and then you pulled it out and he looked at people that was three-dimensional people, that would really, it would rock him to his core.
You're really reaching, because if the fish goes down 10 feet, it can still go up, down, left, and right. So, and if it hits the bottom, it can't go down anymore.
That's it. Two-dimensional.
That's my theory.
It's two-dimensional. It's two-dimensional. I've got a question which nobody will have an answer for. I am looking for an app on my iPhone that will allow me to use my iPhone camera, but use the iPad as a monitor for that. And,
well, you can do that on your watch. You can monitor on your watch.
Yes, but I want it on my iPad.
Interesting. Well, I know right now you're looking at me through my iPhone, and it's going through my computer.
It looks very good. You look very handsome today.
How do you like Santa Claus? He's pretty cute, huh?
It's well, the 3D without the green screen is really, the virtual background without the green screen is always a challenge, because when you move in front of something that will block the light, because it's all about light with the green screen or with the non-green screen, depending on how much light you have. Well, you will see that there are holes, and you could tell that you're using a green screen. The good green screens are lit all around. So like mine, I can move my hand around, and although that there's really not a wall out there with that just says, SoundBroker logos, but it's all about the lighting, because of the way I have it set up, that it looks really three-dimensional. But if you look at my hair, you could see that it looks like it's moving, like there's a wind. And that is just because I just don't have enough light on I'm not lighting it correctly from behind, especially if you move. So there's something that you need to know.
Well, anyway, my point, if you're trying to get your camera through your iPad, I bet there's an app for that, and I would check this camo app. See the little icon in the bottom of my screen?
Yes.
Oh, wait, it went away. Or is it there? I don't know. Anyway,
move your hand.
Point is, oh, wait,
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Anyway, so that I would check with that company, because that's the company that's providing the iPhone through the computer. So if they have an iPhone through the computer, maybe they have an iPhone through an iPad also.
Well, I might recommend another app for you that is probably the bomb of all of them, and that would be let me see if I can remember the name of the brand. EpoCam, EPOC. EPOC CAM Pro. It's $8, but it is more than amazing. The quality of the image and what it works and how it works in projecting to your. It gives you the ultimate in software for using your iPhone, and gives you a second camera for $8, which is really amazing. It's a good price for that. Anyway, I think we're gonna say goodbye to the people who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube, and want to wish you all, those people that are, and not just those people out there, but everybody who can see or hear me. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and a good Festivus, and a happy holiday season. We will be back on the day. We will be back in 1 week. So 7/23 is the 30th. So we'll be back 2 days before New Year's Eve. I guess, is that how it works? So 1 day before New Year's Eve, because New Year's Eve is the 31st. So, and it's for me, this is a very unusual New Year, because this is one of the very first New Year's that I will not be in some place other than Las Vegas, and so I wish you all safety and happiness and health. And remember, you make it happen. Tell your friends about it if you like it. Tell your friends about this if you didn't like it. Just make sure you click the like button and share it. And with that, hey, and if you want to join us, just send me a DM, an email, and you could be on the Zoom panel as well. So I thank everybody for watching, and for you guys in the room, we're going to stay and we're going to talk some more. And by the way, a lot of fun happens before we go live. So come in and join the room. And
all right, we're going off the air now. That is it.
Oh, we're gone.
No, we're half.
And we're done.